Hello, everybody. So this picture kind of came out pixelated a little bit too much. I didn't quite think it was gonna, but whatever. Who cares? So I'm in Twitter jail today, and that means that I cannot browse Twitter. I can't do DMs. I can't follow like no. I can't see anything inside Twitter. I thought I'd tell the story of why that happened, and hopefully at the end of this, get a message to somebody I'm trying to get a message to, who I would otherwise have sent a message to in DMs. So, yesterday I saw this tweet, and I thought it was kind of funny. Johnson & Johnson vaccine update. Slightly over 48 hours since I got the vaccine, and I still have no side effects. And my Spectrum cable internet still won't work. Well, the last two sentences, just check that out. They clearly have no relation to each other whatsoever. And I thought that was funny. So I thought I would sort of make fun of that, because there's that there's the indirect connection, right? Um, Internet connected in your mind to 5G, connected in your mind to China with the Huawei spy program. Okay, vaccine connected to COVID-19, connected back to also China. So, I just thought it'd be funny to write a satirical, stupid tweet that was obviously absurd and ridiculous. The vaccine has 5G in it, which of course is not possible. It's a silly idea. I'm just joking. Twitter, however, did not think I was joking. They suspended me for violating the policy on spreading misleading and potentially harmful information related to COVID-19, which is patently absurd. It's a completely ridiculous idea that my joke tweet is spreading misleading and potentially harmful information about COVID-19. So, if we look down at the bottom, it says, as a result, we've temporarily limited some of your account features. While in this state, you can still browse Twitter, but you're limited to only sending direct messages to your followers, no tweets, no retweets, no follows or likes. Learn more. Yeah, sure. If you click that, and it just says everything sucks. That link has no useful information. Your account will be restored to full functionality in 12 hours and 0 minutes. You can start your countdown. It's not counting down yet. You can start your countdown and continue to Twitter once you remove tweets that violate our rules. Which means, so that you notice that this is a bullet list and it's just got one item on it. But that's actually a list, right? Remove tweets that violate our rules. Make a public apology. Prostrate yourself in public. Those will be added later, but we're not there yet. Just remove it. Silence yourself. Don't argue the case. Just delete your tweet and just make it all go away. And we'll pretend this never happened. If you think we've made a mistake, you can appeal the violation. Okay, so I sent an appeal in because obviously they have screwed up. They've got either an overzealous person who is approving human-generated flags, or they've got an automated system, probably automated, that sees the word vaccine and 5G in the same sentence. It goes, bam, you're banned, which is ridiculous. So, you're appealing one tweet and includes their tweet. Okay. Do I want any additional? Yes, I added details. This tweet was painfully obvious satire. It is not possible for 5G, a wireless communication standard, to be in a vaccine. That's something that can't happen. It's absurd. It is ridiculous. This is a joke. I'm making a joke. You can't put a wireless communication standard into a vaccine. 5G is not even a thing exactly. It is a set of standards. It's a standard of standards. It's a meta standard, to try to get industries to agree on it so they could deploy stuff. So this is just completely absurd. The whole thing is ridiculous. So once I did that, thanks for your appeal. This is the only screen Twitter will show me now. If I go to Twitter, it'll say something's wrong and that it'll bounce me to this screen. Please note that look at the bottom. Please note that while we review your appeal, you won't be able to access your Twitter account. We'll take a look and we'll respond as soon as possible. Now, if I had repented of my crime, I would be able to DM people at least and browse Twitter. Not that browsing Twitter is all that useful by itself. But I could DM people. As it stands right now, I can't even read my own DMs. I can't get into the site at all. Now look at the last sentence. If you'd rather just delete your tweet, we're going to make all this painful for you. If you'd rather just delete your tweet, you can cancel your appeal. So cancel your appeal. Don't argue your case. Silence yourself. Don't stand up for what you believe in. Now, this is satire. It doesn't hurt me really to delete this, but the principle of the thing really sets me off. This is not right what they're doing. And it's not right because we know exactly, you know, that these things that create this super high barrier to entry, just for normal behavior, these things that they make things super hard for you, and then all they want you to do is just repent, and it'll just be all better. But we know what ideology this comes from. We know where this really traces back to. We know where this story goes. This is extreme control ideology, and Twitter, most big tech isn't absolutely infected with it, which is really sad. Very sad to me. But anyway, I mean, you saw that bullet list. Just delete your tweet. That was a list, man. This is going to be on there next. Pretty soon it's going to be delete the tweet, publicly repent, proclaim yourself and your ancestors to have been bad people, and so on. We're already doing that in other areas, right? And of course, your ancestors are only bad if they were white, which is also absurd. Anyway, we know where this is going. So the whole reason I'm making this video at all is I'm trying to get a message out to this guy, very tired shop owner, New Eric Hoffer. New Eric Hoffer, this account name. Hoffer wants to do a chat with me online, and we'd record it and put it up. And we want to discuss currencies and currencies, public trust, crypto, smart contracts, and related issues, which that ties directly into platform issues and things like I was just talking about being banned on Twitter. And that this all kind of, this underlies some other geopolitical discussions that I've been doing and videos I've been making, trying to set the groundwork for a larger discussion about the current state of geopolitics. So all this is kind of related together, and Eric wanted to talk about this stuff. I'm interested in doing it. However, Eric's got my email address. He sent me his email address, and it's in my DMs. So I can't actually talk with him to coordinate this. This is supposed to happen Thursday his time, Friday my time. And so we have a time, but there's other things we need to coordinate still, and we haven't set up yet. So hopefully he sees this, or if somebody who's following me on Rumble or BitChute or YouTube or whatever sees this and can send him a message and say, hey, ZXQ9 is trying to get in touch with you or whatever. My name's Craig, by the way. I think everybody knows that. So anyway, Craig's trying to get in touch with you. He can't because he was banned on Twitter for this joke that he made. So anyway, have him email me. Or if you get this, Eric, please email me. This is one thing that's really disturbing about this to me is that we've got this idea that there's alternatives. Move off Twitter, go to Gab or Minds or whatever. That's true. Yes, do that. Leave Twitter, go to Gab or Minds or any other platform. Go anywhere else but Twitter, because Twitter's already infected. But the thing I would warn everyone about is everywhere else is going to eventually be infected too. Now, they may have a different infection, a different flavor of the domineering control infection, but they will all get it eventually. It's not a surprise that Facebook got it, that Twitter got it, that Google got it, that Amazon's got it. When you see something this widespread, it's a pattern. And patterns, they're not controlled by anyone. These are sort of natural phenomena that platforms that become super popular wind up becoming controlling platforms. The it's not just that, Twitter coordinates with it, Amazon and Google and Facebook or whatever. It's not coordinated in the same way that you might think there's a dark cabal controlling everything. Uh, the ideology itself is sort of a virus. Now, we may have specific, opinions about the kind of people that own these platforms, and the way they behave, but our thoughts about it don't actually, our thoughts about, you know, that specific organization or that specific organization, that's not the whole picture. And there's not an organization behind that forcing them to do this stuff. What's happening is a phenomenon where what capacity you have, guides or informs your intent for what you're going to do at a given moment. So, for example, if you don't have any food, you're not thinking about designing rockets. You're thinking about how to get food because your capacity limitations are so close to you, so near to you, that the distance that you think out in the future is very, very short. Now, once you got a full stomach, you're well clothed. If you have a lot of money, let's say you own land, well, now your intentions change radically. Um, that's why you've got people that are in desperate situations become criminals, even though they're not bad people, because they're just trying to survive. That happens sometimes, and there really are true criminal elements too. But a lot of crime that's driven not by income disparity, but by destitution. That's different. Those are two different things. Um, Destitution-driven crime is a crime related to a lack of capacity, which is an absolute constraint. Crimes related to disparity, just disparities in income. You're not starving. You're just an asshole, and you're going to go steal some stuff because you're jealous. That is envy. That's a moral failure. That's a different thing. But capacity informs intent. And when you're early on, you're just starting a platform, you're the alternative, you're the hot new thing. Of course, you're going to signal. Um, our motto is don't be evil. Remember that? Don't be evil. No censorship, free speech. We're for all those things. We're absolutely for free speech. Oh, except for a couple of things like don't break the law. Well, what if the law changes? What if you start operations in China? Well, the law, maybe that's not the best standard, for if you really want to talk about free speech. Um, because laws are essentially arbitrary. They become arbitrary once an authoritarian state develops. Um, so anyway, you attract people by beating the drum about free speech. So let's say I set up um, you know, Z community, ZXQ9 runs Z community, and Z community is all about free speech. So we get lots of people, millions of accounts show up. Eventually, we develop network effect, and truly, everybody is on our platform. And if you're not on our platform, you're not visible because we're so dominant. Now, if that situation were to develop, you could no longer trust me. And it's not that I'm not a trustworthy person, but you could no longer trust me because I wouldn't really be fully in charge anymore because I'd be running an organization. And further, you couldn't trust my intentions anymore because only my intentions are the only thing keeping you safe in terms of actual free expression. If I totally own the platform, I control the platform, and your life is dominated by what occurs on that platform, I can also control you. That is such a huge change in my capacity that my intentions may actually change. That's something you have to think about. So, yes, go to these alternative platforms. Go use them. That's a good thing. The best thing about that is that lots of alternatives limits their capacity to control and dominate. The problem we have right now is, of course, that if you spend all of your time on, let's say, mines, then you aren't spending all your time on Gab, and syncing between them is a pain in the butt. So that is not a problem that has a ready solution. And so there's a lot of talk right now about distributed platforms, and we're going to do distributed, all this distributed stuff. Well, I'm a distributed systems engineer. That's what I do. That's why I write so many tweets about Erlang, because it's like my main language, because that's the world that I live in, is back end, mostly back end. Um, doing distributed stuff. And I can tell you for certain that the current architectures people are thinking are going to save them are not. Uh, Freenet. Freenet is a very interesting piece of technology. It's a project that's a little bit hard to work with. They don't like alternative implementations, um, and so on. There's also an overwhelming amount of illegal content. Again, the law is not the best index of good or bad, so maybe I should say morally reprehensible content. And that's always going to keep Freenet on the fringes. Uh, it's just the way it is, and using it's difficult. Tor is kind of like that as well. Um, there's specialty use cases. Those are not general solutions. Further, uh, there are things you just can't do on a platform like that. That's a distributed storage network. That's a really good idea. It's a very interesting idea, but it only lets you store things. So you can store data and you can retrieve data. That doesn't let you have dynamic control over the bits, though. Uh, it's also kind of like torrenting in that the order in which the bits are going to be received is somewhat uncoordinated and random. Well, it's highly uncoordinated uh, and essentially random that you'll get as a receiver, which means that you cannot do things like stream. You have to get a complete amount of data before you can proceed, and streaming requires in-order data reception. That's not true in an absolute sense. There's other stuff that goes on inside of a stream, but generally speaking, you need to get the bits in a roughly in order to play a video live, and especially if you're going to do live streaming, or even harder, if you want to do video conferencing or video games or something like that. Those require very tight latency. They have very tight latency constraints, much tighter than just streaming a video that's been pre-recorded. Uh, all these issues I'm very intimate with, and I've actually architected a system um, that can get around this. I've designed a system uh, that can handle this, where you could have a truly distributed um, applications infrastructure that allows you to write full-blown applications, not just store data. It's not just IPFS or interplanetary file system. That's different. That's a different type of thing. That it's not. It's in the same sort of general category as Freenet, but it's not the same thing. I think IPFS actually has a lot of really smart, better ideas in it. But anyway, neither one of them are things you can build a full-blown application on top of. Uh, they're really good ideas. They're very interesting and useful data stores, but they are not applications. Uh, Not applications infrastructure. Application infrastructure is a little bit different. Um, I've designed a system that you can build applications on, but the problem is what I've designed amounts to software-defined infrastructure, and it is not possible to monetize software-defined infrastructure. It is easy to monetize hardware-defined infrastructure. You pay your ISP. Why? Because they have physical stuff that you need to use, and you're renting space from them, or you're renting work time from them. Um, that's easy to monetize. A toll road, a highway, that's easy to monetize. It's not at all easy to monetize the HTTP standard itself, right? That's not something that gets monetized. Even the web servers, even software packages, uh, Firefox, Chrome, Apache, Nginx, none of these things are paid, right? Uh, these are all open source projects. They're community efforts. And the reason they're community efforts is because that's what makes sense for that type of a thing. Now, what's built on top of that, that stuff is worth tons of money, right? But the infrastructure itself, software-defined infrastructure, is not something that you can readily monetize. So that said, this big rush to distributed systems, I was a little bit disappointed to find that people don't really want a distributed system. They don't truly want a distributed system. They want systems they can control. Investors want systems they can control because they're not looking at the next target. They're just looking at the next target. They want to develop the capacity to control. And for obvious reasons, I understand that's where the better bottom line is at. In the short term, if you want to go further, though, if you've got confidence in an idea that you have for an application, and you want it to be distributed, and you want individuals to hold the responsibility solely for the content they put up, then you would want to fund something like this. But that's there's not very many organizations like that. Most people want to control things directly. Um, they have this image in their mind of a data center somewhere that they own, and if they own the bits, it like the way Google does it, right? Where you don't own anything, they hold everything for you, but then if they decide to shut your life off, it's super convenient. But if they decide to just like delete your life, it's gone and it's not coming back because it was all on their servers. That's the kind of power that most people want. And I understand why they want that power, but it's not a way that we're not going to move past the current era in computing or in social networking. Um, that like we're just not going to advance. We're stuck at this level right now where it's not a data siloing problem. Um, it's more of a how would we say this? We're in an era of data capture. If we continue to live in an era of data capture instead of data passing, data sharing, uh, aggregate community amplification of of data broadcast. If we're not in a sort of a more cooperative era of data broadcasting, and we continue to live in the world of data capture, um, we're not going to advance the state of the art, and that's just the way things are. So anyway, blah blah blah. Going off on a tangent about that. The more interesting thing that I wanted to mention was, of course, this right here. I would like to have that chat with Eric Hoffer, and hopefully, if somebody can get a message to him, that would help me out. I am in Twitter jail. I have no intentions to delete my tweet to appease the communists over there. So that's just how that is, because Twitter is honestly quite a time sink. It's a lot of fun, but it is quite a time sink. So that's all I've got for today.